A closer look at the top political headlines with the New Hampshire primary just days away. So joining us now, Deputy Political Director Averi Harper is here. And ABC News White House correspondent MaryAlice Parks is there in New Hampshire for us. Averi, let's start with you. So talk to us about what's at stake for these candidates down the final stretch.
Right. Well, we've seen former President Trump. He's really sharpening his attacks of Nikki Haley. We've seen him say she does not have the support of MAGA, the MAGA movement. And because of that, he doesn't believe that she can win this election. We saw Senator Tim Scott, endorse him yesterday in New Hampshire. And that's really a snub to Nikki Haley, who appointed him to his Senate seat there in South Carolina when she was the governor. As for Nikki Haley has really been being clearer in her criticisms of former President Trump. She has pushed back on his assertions that he has presidential immunity amid these legal cases that he's facing. She's also been more apt to liken him to President Biden in terms of lots of things. And so we've seen her say that, do we really want to see 80-year-olds running for president? And there's an ad in New Hampshire right now that is running, and it's hard to avoid it if you turn on the television in New Hampshire, where she is saying that both Trump and Biden are consumed by negativity and chaos. We'll see whose strategy is more effective come primary night.
Absolutely. And let's go to New Hampshire now, because MaryAlice, you are there right now. Give us a sense of the dynamics on the ground. Is it looking any different than Iowa?
Well, big picture, Gio, it feels like a two-person race here. Ron DeSantis has really struggled to catch on. And we know that this primary will likely be decided by independent voters. They make up 40% of voters here in New Hampshire. Now, Trump has falsely said that Democrats can vote in the Republican primary. That's not true. You had to switch voter affiliation back in October. But those independents, they can vote in either the Democrat or the Republican primary. And like Averi was just saying, Nikki Haley is pitching to those independents. She is trying to lump President Biden and former President Trump together, saying the country needs to move on from both of them. And I've talked to independent voters here in New Hampshire who are buying that message, who really agree. You know, this is largely just seen as a more moderate state. I was here during the midterms, and I saw firsthand how some of those more MAGA Republicans lost. They didn't do well here on issues like foreign policy and abortion. More moderates tend to do well, and that is why there is so much pressure, guys, on Nikki Haley to show that she can deliver somewhere like this.
And MaryAlice sees it there on the ground in New Hampshire, but let's talk about the latest polling. You've been watching this. What does that show us?
Right. When we look at the latest ABC News Ipsos poll, what we find is that 80% of Republican-aligned adults in the country, they believe that former President Trump is the most likely, has the best chance to win in November. Only 10% say that about Nikki Haley, and only 9% say that about Ron DeSantis. And I think that's really reflective of this party where he is wildly popular. And it's indicative of the fact that for anybody not named Donald Trump, it's going to be very difficult to clinch that nomination. When we look at New Hampshire specifically, Trump is leading by 15%. Nikki Haley is right behind him in number 2. And Ron DeSantis is polling in single digits. And so what we see come out of the New Hampshire primary is likely going to tell us a lot about what this Republican primary is going to look like going forward.
And MaryAlice, finally, let's go back to you for the Democrat. There is a primary in New Hampshire, but President Biden is not on the ballot.
Yeah, 21 Democratic names on the ballot, and Joe Biden is not one of them. Democrats wanted to move South Carolina first. That is where, in 2020, Joe Biden first won. But New Hampshire pointed out that it's in their state law to hold the first primary. So they went ahead. Biden sat it out. And now this could be really embarrassing for the president. There has been this campaign here by some prominent Democrats to try to get Democrats to write in his name. He has not endorsed that effort. We will see if it works. But it might not look great if he doesn't do so well here. There are a few Democrats who have a little bit of a following, and we could see some headlines reminding people that in that polling, we see that a lot of Democrats not so excited about President Biden again. You know, Biden, for his part this week, did have a big week. We saw him canceling student loan debt for over 70,000 borrowers, nearly $5 billion in student loan debt. Democrats, of course, hoping that that kind of work from the White House will be what breaks through here.
All right, MaryAlice Parks, thank you so much. Averi Harper, we always appreciate it. I'll be down there in New Hampshire in a couple of days, maybe a little bit warmer than it was in Iowa.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Well, hey,
there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.